Greetings, everyone. How you doing? I know that last week you missed me. I missed you. I hope you had a great holiday week. I hope that you've been safe and you have been hanging in there. I am Shay Robinson of Hearts and Hills, and I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. We have Bishop Rod in the studio. Hey.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Remember, tonight you can always call in on the request line. We got it open and ready for you tonight for your questions and your comments. So we want to hear from you. That number is 334-318-6375. That is 334-318-6375. It is a new number. So make sure that you log it in so you can give us a call tonight. What's on your mind? What's been going on?
Hey, everything's lovely. I'm excited again to be in the studio with Hearts and Heels. It's been a while. Thank you for just giving me the honor to grace your presence.
Yeah, I try to let you hang out.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
It's not like I don't see you enough at home, but I got to.
Really?
Okay, my bad. But yeah, everything's been lovely, man. We just been making things happen.
Yes.
Keeping the faith. Trusting God for His best plan,
Wow.
and watching that plan unfold in our lives. So yeah, I'm excited about ending this year strong, and I know that the same God that has brought us thus far is going to be the same God that's going to keep us. So yeah, I'm just trusting the plan, man, and understanding that I may not know what tomorrow holds, but I heard Grandma say, "I know who holds tomorrow."
Yeah, Grandma did say that.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. She didn't maybe have all the education that we got, but she knew about the God that she served, man. So I'm just excited, to understand that God is yet working.
He is definitely working. It is. We've had a long season. It's been a long year. It's been a long year and a half. Dealing with COVID, dealing with the issues of life, the political things, the social things.
Right.
In addition to that, those are outside impact things that impact us. But if you think internally, you think about your family structure, how that's looked. Many people have experienced deaths, multiple deaths over this past year, and within certain time frames. So it's just been a long year. And I was just thinking the other night, I was thinking about, just kind of life. And I've been watching some different things, and I see how people are responding to this season and responding to the holidays and responding to life at this point. And it just took me down a place of memory lane, and it took me to a place where I thought about, how did I get here?
Right.
Like what got me to this place? What pushed me and led me to this place, and how was I able to survive and overcome, just a lot of things in life, because we are so seldomly bogged down with issues that we don't control, the issues that we shouldn't even think about, issues that shouldn't even be a part of our life, but somehow we allow those things to bog us down, and we allow them to rip us apart and tear us from the spaces that God has for us, and we allow things to just come in and just destroy us.
Right. When you think about, like I said, the holiday season, man, I know I'm still full from Thanksgiving.
Well, I ate plenty of time.
Yes. But it is kind of, for a lot of people, man, one of the most depressing times of the year. You know what I mean? Because again, a lot of the connections, family and relationships that we once had, people have transitioned, to go and be with the Lord, and it was just something. I think me and my brother was talking about, like, what holidays used to be like when our grandparents were, here.
Which is way different.
This is way different. Once Big Mama and Big Daddy gone, the family structure, the family dynamics kind of changes. Those cousins that you grew up with, a lot of them you don't see anymore. They stop coming home. Those uncles and aunts that you were crazy about, every year to see at the family reunion. Once the fabric of the family kind of starts to shift and to change, it just kind of changes, man. And so,
is it okay to create new traditions though?
it is. I like new traditions. I mean, we do something fun and funny, but I like doing new things. And I think the thing is that, like, when it comes to the traditions, it's just that it's a tradition. You know, you can do it or choose not to do it. You know, but like you said, you can make your own, or you can add to, or you can enhance. I know sometimes for a long time it's like every year we were in town, it's like no way that we ever considered like being out of town on a major holiday. You know, because we wanted to be here like with our families, and I get it. You know, a lot of times we look at, you know, we may not necessarily have, you know, we know that we're not going to have our parents with us always, you know. So while they're here, you say to yourself, you know, look, I want to spend this time, you know, engrafted into, you know, my family here, and you know, whatever. If the Lord see fit to call them before me, then, you know, then I'll start a new tradition. Then we'll start doing something. But I think it's fun to have new stuff, to do new things, you know, and to try new recipes. You know, you want to do something this year? Try a new dish besides
No.
ice and that. Okay. Anyway,
I'm stick with what I know.
napkins and ice.
Yes.
But yeah, I think we have to, you know, be willing to start new things and be willing to, again, like I said, this time of the year, I believe is like we got to finish strong. You know, we gotta, like you said, we come through a lot, but you know, I think a lot of times the past is not necessarily an indicator of what the future will be. You know, you have to have, I think, a optimistic outlook to say, you know what I mean, things can get better, things will get better.
I think it's hard to have that optimistic outlook because there have been so many things that, like you said, that's happened. You know, just even with when it comes to marriage and relationships. If you look over this year, you've seen a lot of things that have a lot of people have separated,
Right.
divorced. You see a lot of issues, so it makes it hard for you to hope and believe and continue with your own.
Right, right. Didn't we think Will and Jada were gonna be there forever?
They still together.
Oh yeah, it's just entangled. My bad. But, but you know, when we start looking at pictures of Black Love, no, it was Russell Simmons and Kamara. You know, we have all these pictures of what Black Love, and again, they represent, you know, what I mean, different things for different people. But again, I think it's about for me with the changes. That's been the story of my life for the last, you know, 15 years is transition. Last 20 years, you know, transition, and I think we have to be willing to be fluent enough, you know, to understand that, you know, yes, what I'm comfortable with, what I'm comfortable doing, or what I used to do, yeah, that was okay in that season, but this is a new season, you know, and the things that change, I think we have to not so much kick against it, but be willing to embrace it. To say, because again, it could be fun, you know, just you know, it could be fun, it could be exciting, it could be something new, it could be something, you know, that would get us. I never will forget one time I was probably 17, 18 years old, 17, and I had a friend in the car, and you know, traditionally his confines was to the west side of Montgomery. Um, and so we end up riding out toward East Montgomery, and it was like the Bell Road area. And you know, on down on Bell Road on the right hand side, depending on which way you're coming, you know, you got the guy that got buffaloes and Bambies and you know, Bambi, yeah, Bambi's out there. And he looked, and he was astonished. He's like, "Man, what is this? Where we at?" I was like, "Man, this Montgomery, this Bell Road." He's like, "Wow." He could not believe it because he had no idea what was out there. Watch this, because he had never gone outside of the confines of his boundaries. He had never gone out of what was familiar. He knew a little circle. He knew Fairview.
Right. He knew his own.
He knew his own world. You know, he had no idea that there was a whole right here under his nose. There was a whole nother outlook. There was a whole nother way of living. And so I think a lot of times for us, if we can just be willing to push outside of what we're comfortable doing, that the thing out there could be better. You know what I mean? It could be something that's going to help us get to the next level. It could be a connection that we're waiting on to meet when we get there. It could be, you know, we could be the answer to someone's problem. You know, someone could be have the piece of the puzzle that we need. Yeah, about a given thing to help us get to where we want to be. So I think again, it's just about, yeah, a lot has happened. Yes, we can be reflective. I don't think we have to be fearful of what's to come. I think we just have to trust the process. You know, and sometimes we don't always know what that process is. That's what faith is.
But then some people, you say trust the process, and I think that's super easy to do, to say trust the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have felt like you've been beaten and torn and battered and so much has happened to you, it's hard to trust the process, even when you know that what you're doing is not working.
Yeah, I understand. You know, from in our natural, from a natural perspective, we do get weary, we do get tired, we do get discouraged. We do have some setbacks, we do have some challenges, we do have some curveball. Life has curves,
Yeah.
and I think you know, the things that we encounter, they may catch us off guard, but they don't catch God off guard.
But still, the curve is hard for you to live through.
Yeah.
Like the curve is hard for you to turn. The curve is hard for you to see. It's hard for you to manage. And when that curve is hard to manage, it's easy for everybody else to tell you, "Hey, hold on, you
Right.
can make it through." It's easy for somebody to say, "Well, yeah, it's."
But you know what? You know why I think that's good advice, or that's good counsel, or that's easy for somebody to say it, because you might be talking to somebody that is or has been where you've been. You might be talking to that person on the other end of saying that maybe the very person that has lived through it. So they're not telling you something just for lip service. They're telling you something that they have experienced. You know, if I tell you, look, you need to go to a particular restaurant, I can tell you about how good it is, how the service was wonderful, because you know I like fine dining, and I can tell you how the ambience. I can tell you, you know, everything that I experienced. You know, I can give you a secondhand, um, rendition of what it. But until you actually go for yourself and have a chance to experience, then you cannot truly appreciate everything that I'm saying to you. So I think a lot of times for the person who's saying to look, man, you just gotta put one foot in front of the other and keep going. Because that person who's telling you that was in the place where you know what they wanted to give up. They were in the place where they wanted to throw in the towel, but they just kept going. They kept trusting the process. They kept going through the process. The process is not pretty. The process is messy. You know, when you're giving birth to something, it's messy. Oh God, yeah. When you're trying to push something out, there's a weight, there's a strain,
Right.
there's something that comes with that. You know, so you have to be willing to endure that, you know. And if you could, that's what I think the word reminds us, the race, you know, talking about life is not given to the swift. You know, it's not about how fast you go. It's not given to the strong, he stated. It's not about your physical strength, but he said it's to the one that endures to the end. So this race for many of us is a race of endurance.
So yeah, it is a race of endurance. So I want to ask you this. What is the testimony what is the testimony that you can help someone through today? Like if someone were to come to you, what is the thing that you could share that you've endured? Because I think sometimes people will see other people talk about enduring and going through and getting over, but what is it that you've endured that you could really tell someone to hold on and you can make it through this?
I think for me, each and every day we have to look at it as a new testimony. I was talking to someone the other day, and I just kept, you know, and trying to encourage them, and God was encouraging me while I was trying to encourage them to basically say, look, I'm finna give you a new testimony. You know, it's time for a new testimony. In other words, I thank God for the past victories. I thank God for the past battles that we've won. But I'm like, okay, God, I know your mercies are new each and every day, and I definitely, you know, am cognitive enough to recognize it. But thank you, and I'm grateful. But okay, God, I need a new victory here. I need a new testimony. And so, what I would encourage someone that every day is a testimony of, and all folks sing a song. Every day is a day of thanksgiving, but every day also is a day of testimony that God has kept us. You know, that we've had another opportunity to rise and shine and grind. You know, everyone that had that opportunity. You know, the fact that we're still breathing, the fact that we are still have our faculties, it's a sign that God is yet still working. You know, and so for me, it's just about understanding that yes, if I can just be faithful over a few things. He said, not be perfect. He said, faithful. He said that he would, make me rulers of much. So I think it just goes back to us trying to understand that God always is going to get glory out of our life. And in order for him to get glory out of our life, there has to be a testimony to the enemy uh, that we stood in the face of adversity.
So is that your testimony?
Oh, absolutely. I think my testimony is that if it had not been for the Lord, absolutely, who was on my side, where would I be? If it hadn't been for, car accidents that should have killed me, whatever it was, accidents that should have taken me out, whatever it was, I'm yet a daily reminder that God still has a plan for my life, you know. And if you are look at your life, you can see the same, that there's some things that and that some things that you should be confident enough to recognize that God has smiled on you. You know what I mean? In spite of, we may not necessarily have everything that we want, but He's a promise keeper to give us everything that we need. And I think sometimes we get inundated with things and with material, or the status quo, or social media. You want to be a star on, so whatever it is, those things are, they're fleeting. You know what I mean? That they're temporal. The Bible reminds us, wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart will be. So I think in this season, we need to start making deposits into our life that's going to bring about a fruit that we want to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because believe whatsoever you sow, that you shall.
Thank you, Sarah Willis Beecham, that is on Facebook. She said, "New mercies every morning. Great is His faithfulness." Thank you so much for sharing. Remember, you can always call us at 334-318-6375. I am Shay Robinson. You are listening to Hearts to Hills on WBAS, and that call-in number is 334-318-6375. And tonight we're just talking about, believing God through the ups and downs of your life, because of your testimony. Everything that you've endured is really purposeful.
Absolutely.
And he was just sharing a few minutes ago about his experiences in life every day, and being able to just the fact that he's able to wake up every morning, because the enemy sought to kill you.
Absolutely. Still kill and destroy. And so the fact that we have life, and we have that life more abundantly, I believe it's an indicator that, like I said, as long, David said like this, the dead cannot praise you. As long as you got life, that's an indicator.
But does that mean that we're wasting life?
No, I don't believe that we're wasting life. I think that we may not be maximizing all that it is that God has for us. And the reason why I say that is that I can remember in grade school, that was back when, the teachers could put so much on your report card. They started being able to add comments. And I would get like a B in a particular class, and the teacher would still put not working to potential. And that would always dawn on me, like, I got a B. What do you mean not working to potential? But as I grew and I matured, I understand that teacher knew that I had the capacity, that I had the capability to get an A out of that class. But because I did not apply myself in a way wholeheartedly, she could tell, or he could tell, that, look, there's still more in you that you're not giving me. There's still more in you that you're not displaying. There's still more there that you have not been willing to commit to. And I think it's a lot of times like that for us, that God has put so much on the inside. He's just deposited greatness. He's deposited destiny. He's given us the Holy Spirit, which is the helper, the keeper, And so we got what we need, but whether we use it or not to the fullest capability, then I think sometimes we that's a good check for each and every individual. I think we have to not judge people for where they're at, but at the same time, kind of stay in the mirror and see, okay, am I living my best? Am I doing everything? Am I living up to my God-given potential? So I think,
and I guess too, it's all about what you're trusting. I was meditating today, and one of the words that God gave me is that greatness lives inside of you. Like there is greatness inside of you. If there's greatness inside of you, then you should be operating from that greatness, not from anything else, but that greatness inside of you. But a lot of times we don't do it from the fear. You mentioned that earlier, from fear, and because we don't even recognize. Sometimes I don't think we recognize what we have, and we falter on the assignment. Like everybody has this whole thing now, and I know you guys heard it, or if you hadn't, where this person understood the assignment. It's hashtag understand the assignment, and
Right.
and I've seen it in so many places, and usually it's in reference to somebody, the way they're dressing or how they respond. But I guess I can ask this question at this point: Are we under this? Are we understanding the assignment of our lives that God has given us?
That's good.
Like, are we really understanding? Like, we want to go into this whole wave and be part of the it crowd that use it. I understood the assignment because of the dress, but do you understand the assignment because of the work that you're required to do? And that's one of the things that has been really important to me, understanding the assignment, because I think that is what pushes me to the different spaces. I was just thinking over the weekend how we talk a lot about relationships on the show. We talk a lot about interactions and all those things. But I was thinking over the weekend because relationships, I've seen relationships go up and down. But I was thinking about how this one relationship mended, and there was no intention for it to mend. And I want to thank you, Sarah Beecham. She said Mary Magdalene understood the assignment. Yes, she did. But I was thinking about relationships and how it mended, and I didn't necessarily do anything to mend, and the other people didn't necessarily do anything for it to mend, but we naturally allow God to do the healing, right? And because we allow God to do the healing, now we're able to move in different spaces and do different things and build on that. But imagine if I did understand that in that moment, that was my assignment, to allow that to heal. Because sometimes it's not that we can't forgive, it's just that we won't allow the forgiveness to take place. Or it's not that we can't move to the next level, we just won't allow ourselves to move to the next level for whatever reasons that it is. And we do not understand what our assignments are. We do not understand, what God is doing. And the scripture says, I'm doing a new thing. Can you perceive it? Well, we shout about the new things, but it's important that we listen to the behalf that says, can you perceive it? Can you understand? Do you see it? Are you aware of it? Are you catching it? Have you seen it? Are you seeing the revelation? Are you inspired by it? Can you hold on to it? Are you taking it? Can you see? Can you perceive? Do you understand? Can you value what God is doing?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be able to catch it. God is always throwing it, but we got to be able to catch it.
Right.
He's often nipping at our hearts, trying to get us into that place. And it goes back to Jeremiah 29:11, one of our scriptures did in my heart, that says, he says, I know the thoughts that I think of you. So God knows what he thinks, but the question is, what do we think of ourselves? Because a lot of times the self revelation, or the self picture of who it is that we say that we are, that is what we'll begin to reflect. That is what we'll begin to portray. Remember what I mean by that? If you go around defeated, you go around downtrodden, then with your shoulders slumped, then the body language, whatever, that's what you're portraying. That's how you may be seeing yourself in that moment.
And that's how others will see.
And that's how others will. But when you walk into a room like a peacock, and chest out, head up, like, hey, I'm here. There's a different perception. You know what I mean? Because that's how you may see yourself in that moment. So I think, again, it's about understanding, because the Bible says, so a man thinketh, so is he. So we have to make sure that we are thinking the right things about ourselves in that particular season, regardless of, and not only are we thinking the right things, but we're thinking about us the way God thinks about us. You know what I mean? Instead of seeing ourselves as defeated, we have to remind ourselves that he says, hey, you're more than a conqueror.
Wow.
Instead of seeing ourselves as as they did with David, you know, hey, you left them few sheep. You know what I mean? What you doing out here? You know, but he saw himself as, you know, the next king of Israel. You know, how are you seeing yourself and not letting others define how they see you is also important as well. So I think you have to be able to encourage yourself in seasons when no one has encouraged you. Pat yourself on the back in seasons no one is patting yourself on the back. Sometimes we have to go into a dark place to be developed. We have to go into a dark place to be pruned. The Bible declares like this. He says he refineth us as silver. In order to refine silver, you have to heat it up.
Yeah.
When you heat the silver up, it brings all the impurities and it brings all the things that are not what it needs to be in there in order to give the silver the full value that it's capable of reaching. So a lot of times we things are turned up in our life because again, God is often purging us. He's often trying to get rid of us so he can put more of him in us. You know, two things can occupy the same space. So I think a lot of times God is often just saying, look, you can be on that treadmill as long as you want.
Right.
You know, but when you're ready to move forward, I'll be here. You know.
Erica Calhoun, thank you for listening on Facebook. She said, I am a conqueror plus. Thank you, Barbara Lights Brown. She says, yes, those dark places are needed to produce a beautiful picture. Thank you so much for tuning in on Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in on the radio. Remember, you can always give us a call at 334-318-6375, 334-318-6375. I'm one of your hosts, Shay Robinson, and you are listening to Hearts and Hills on WBAS. Let me say this. It was something you mentioned a few moments ago. You talked about not letting other people define you. So if we have a point to this sermon, we're going to say that's one of our points tonight, that don't let anybody define you. Because when and let's even just go back to a simple story, and we can talk about him in so many different ways. But if you go back to the story of David, when he went in and he said, okay, I'm going to fight Goliath. One of the ways they try to define him, of course, is saying you're too little, you're too young, you too this, you too that. They tried to give him armor. Well, you gonna need this, because again, they were trying to define what he needed in order to fight his battle. They were trying to tell him, you know, what size he needed to be, how old he needed to be. They were trying to tell him what he needed to wear, what he needed to look like, what his disposition should be. They were trying to tell him everything that they wanted him to be, and in order to win. But God had already given him the prescription of what he needed. It was just those smooth stones and what's that thing? Slingshot, yes. And then he had already prepared them for those moments. So when I say that, we're telling you tonight that as you're in this season of I can't believe this, you can't believe that these things are happening to you in your life. What you have to remember is that other people's perception of what you should do, how you should do it, when you should do it, why you should do it, should not supersede what you know you should be doing. It should never supersede that. Like, you have to be confident and bold in what you know that you've been called and directed. Like we talk about called in so many different shapes, but it's a direction that's happening. Like when you go down the street and you're driving, you're gonna have red light, yellow light, green light. They give you direction of when to go, when to stop, when to yield, and when you need to turn, because they understand that there's a caution that needs to take place at some points. You need to stop because other things are going on. There's an understanding at a higher level than what you know. So remember the directions that he's giving you, and stop looking to others for their direction.
Right. Because everyone hasn't heard what you heard, you know.
I love that.
And everyone doesn't understand your assignment, you know. And they again, they
trying to understand, they can't understand.
Yeah. So you know, it's like, you know, even when it comes to Joseph, you know, when he told, you know, his brothers his dream, and even his father, he said, "Look, shall we bow to you?"
Bowing down to you.
You know what I mean? And so God gave him the assignment in the dream, that he was going to elevate him, that he was going to put him in a place of position and power and prestige, and that he was going to be a conduit that his family would need to get to the next level, but had he, listening like, nah, behold, he is dreamer. We'll see what's going to come of his dreams.
Yeah.
They began to try to assassinate the assignment, with their words. So you have to be careful that you don't allow people to assassinate the assignment with their words. Assassinate your assignment with their words. Because simply, not that they may be bad people, but they just don't understand. In the words of Will Smith, parents just don't understand. They may just not understand what it is that God is doing in your life. So you have to understand that, this, I get my orders, I get my marching orders from God, and I'm going to walk, to the drum of his beat, and I'm going to move in the areas that he tells me to move. I'm going to move. When he say move, I'm going to move. If he says don't move, I'm not going to move. And when someone else who's steady trying to push you to go, what you don't understand is I'm at a stoplight. You know what I mean?
It's not my time.
It's not my time. You know what I mean? And it could be cars behind you honking the horn. Go, move. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got it. And so sometimes I even notice that even in the natural, sometimes when you pull up to a stop sign or a red light, sometimes as soon as the light turns, people just floor it. They go. Other people, they ease off. And sometimes people even pause and people have to hit their horn once and like, go, it's time to move.
Right.
But you have to understand where you are. You got to understand what type of driver you are and where in the places and the space that God is taking you, and understand that the vehicle that he's using to get you there may not be the same vehicle that he's using someone else.
That's right.
He may take you by plane. He may want to take me by boat.
That's the second point. Understand your vehicle. I mean, but I think that's so valuable because we are always trying to compare ourselves to other people and how they're doing it, when they're doing it, why they're doing it, and what's happening when they're doing it. And that's unfair to you, and it's unfair to your purpose and your destiny, and it's unfair to God's desire and will for your life. Like, you have to know your strengths. And sometimes you are in situations because God is perfecting those strengths and getting them ready for the moment for you to show up. Because when you show up, it's not time for you to prepare. Your preparation happened before. The moment you show up is the moment that you have to go in and do the work. I have never gone to any job and just say, okay, this is, I'm just I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna prepare myself for this moment. Now, I had to prepare myself before I got to any position. When you go into the grocery store, if you like me, ladies, I know you guys have done this before, that you go to the grocery store, you have your list ready, and then you left your card in the car or at home and you trying to pay for it, and you cannot finish the transaction because you did not prepare properly prior to getting there. So you are in the store with the things that you need, but you cannot leave. You cannot get those things. You cannot take them with you. You have to call someone to get them. Hey, come. You got to do all these other things because you did not prepare for the moment that you arrive. And we're gonna tell you that, understand that your traveling, your vehicle, your destiny, your what God is using for you may not be for someone else. Just prepare for the moment when He will have that space for you, because I tell you, God can do it, and He can do it immediately, and it may take a little bit longer, but the thing you must know and must remember and must hold on to is that He can.
Right, and He will. Understanding that the moments of preparation, like you said, when David encountered that bear, when he encountered the lion, that was preparation for the giants that he would face, for the giant of Goliath. So, when he saw the bear or the lion, attacking the sheep, and he said, "No, it's okay. I ain't worried about it." Then he would have missed some duly needed preparation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He would have missed some victories in his life that he needed to see who God was, how God was, and that if God could or would do it in this area, then He can do it in that area. If he needed a point of reference, thank you, God. sometimes we just need a point of reference to be able to say, you know what, this resembles something. I've seen this before. This resembles something. I know I had a situation. I know I was facing a challenge. I know I had a mountain in front of me in this particular area of my life. But you know what? I remember something over here God did, or something over here. I saw how, you know, if I just held my peace, it worked out. You know what I mean? I didn't have to go off. I didn't have to cuss nobody out. I didn't have to, you know what I mean, come out of my character. I didn't have to, you know, whatever it is. I just kind of let God fight that particular battle or that particular area of my life, and in doing so, when I saw that victory, it gave me a point of reference. It gave me something that I could go to. It gave me um, another bullet point on his resume.
Right.
You know what I mean? To just say, okay, boop, he's done that. Boop, he's done that. Oh, I remember when he did that. So I think we just have to. And a lot of times it's hard. I'll be honest with you. We get amnesia. You know, we act like sometimes. We act like babes when we really should be more mature than what we are. You know, we off milk. We've been walking with God for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, but we're still fretting. You know what I mean? We still are acting like we don't know or we haven't seen. You know, something that David said that always rings true to me. He says, I would have fainted. In other words, I would have given up. I would have given out. You talk about that being tired and trying to trust the process,
Right.
And you know, no one knows or truly sees where you're at or in the place or in the space you may be. You're screaming to the top of your lung, but no one's hearing your scream. You know, you're crying tears, but no one seems to see your tears. You know, you're frustrated and you're mad. You know what I'm saying? You're angry, and no one can seem to perceive it. Even in that place, David says, I would have fainted. I would have given up. He said, but lest I believe to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. He says, I would have thrown it in, but I saw some things that would not let me throw it in. You know what I mean? I had something to look at. I had a point of reference. You know what I mean? I could say at least, oh God help me. Woo! If you can say at least, you know what I mean? You know, I may not have this, but at least, you know what I mean? I may not have the house I want, but at least I got a house, praise the Lord. You know, I may not have the car I want, but at least I got, you know what I mean? I may not have a husband, but at least I got, you know, whatever it is, you know, we need, if you can say,
what you about to say?
if you can say at least, you know, that's a sign, man, that God is working. You know what I mean? That He's still moving you from glory to glory, and we can't pout, we can't rush. I used to be in that place in space years ago where I would pout, I get mad with God, and like a little spoiled baby, a little spoiled brat, and because He wasn't doing a particular thing that I wanted Him to do, and the time and the space and the places that I wanted Him to do it. But when He got ready to do it, He gave me a point of reference from that point on to say, look, okay, now I didn't do it when you wanted me to do it. I didn't open the door when you wanted. I didn't close the door when you wanted. I didn't take you from that place to this place when you wanted me to. But when I get ready to, or when I did, do you see how I did it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think one of the things that we miss is confidence. I think if you really search the scriptures, if you search the people's lives, like when Daniel said, even if he doesn't do it, I know that he can. I know that he can. He has the ability to do it.
The 3 Hebrew boys, yeah.
Right.
Even if you don't do it.
Yeah. So one of them scriptures. But like sometimes, and I never really. I've been searching because I have my own struggles and issues that I deal with.
We all do.
And one of the things that I definitely struggle with is confidence and self-assurance and believing in myself that I'm worthy and that I can and that God has and I'm anointed and I struggle with that. That's my struggle. Shay, I'm confessing my faults. I'm confessing this is my moment where I'm being pure and open. I struggle with confidence, left and right. I struggle with feeling secure of myself and what God has called me to be. It sometimes I doubt who I am. I doubt, what I think God has called me. I doubt who I doubt what I think. I doubt everything about who I am. It's a struggle for me sometimes to see me in any positive light.
You know what? When you say that, I couldn't help but like one thing that Jacqueline Carr said. She says, whatever God tells you is the truth.
Right.
And whatever the enemy tells you is a lie. And she said, how do I know? She says, when someone says I can't or I'm not something, she said, I know that's the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But when someone says I can, you know what I mean, that's God, because the word reminds us that he says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I understand in your truth moment, what you struggle. We all have struggles, and it's okay to struggle in those areas. It's normal. You know what I mean?
I know, but I don't think that, and I'm not saying that it's not normal. I'm not saying that I'm any different than any other person. It's just that struggle moment of feeling like you are valued enough or valuable enough for these things to happen for you, whether it is to get married, whether it is to get that new job, whether it is to get the new house, whether it is to go to the next level, whether it is for you to have a family and the children, whatever it is that you struggle with. What I've noticed and what I've been really praying about, and God has been revealing to me, that there was a level of confidence that those who overcame had in him. Even Job in the midst of his struggles and what he was going through, even when he said, look, I just wish that I never was born. Even in that, there was something inside of him that kept him talking. It kept him believing, where he wouldn't curse God and die. He wouldn't allow his friends to tell him that he was this low person that didn't do. He came to himself, and it's like a moment where he understood that he was enough. And maybe that's the point I'm getting to, that sometimes we don't feel like we are enough, or that God has valued us enough. And he has.
Absolutely.
Like, he has. He doesn't have to prove himself anymore. He doesn't have to do anything else anymore. When he decided that he wanted you to, when he decided he was going to get on the cross, that was him showing his love for you. The moment that he said, regardless of what you do, I know that you're not going to love me and serve me like I would want you to. I know that you're going to have faults and fallacies, but my blood, I'm going to allow my blood to cover it. I'm going to allow my blood to help you. So even though you can't believe in yourself, even though you can't believe that God wants to do things for you, I'm trying to show you, because of the sacrifice that I'm making, that you are good enough and you are worth it. And I'm saying it to say, I don't want any sympathy for my strugglers, because I know exactly who they are. I'm very self-aware of what I struggle with, and I know exactly where it comes from, and I pray about it. And when I deal with those things, I fight it with scripture. So do the same, fight it with scripture. But I also want to tell you today that those things do not have to control you, and you are worthy enough. You are valuable enough. You have it. Whatever it is, you have it. It is not lost. You're not lost cause. It is not the end. It is not left field for you to achieve and get to where God has desired for you. And that's what I want to tell you today. Be confident in who he is. Like, when you can't be confident in who you are, be confident in who he is. And greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world.
Absolutely. I think that even when we don't believe in ourselves, God still believes in us, because he understands the deposits that he has made. He understands the gifts, the talents, the propensities, the uniqueness of how he has made each and every one of us, divinely orchestrated in his image, in his likeness, to accomplish the task that along that journey we don't, and that's one thing about I love one of the things when it comes to scripture, when we see Jeremiah, when God tells him to get up, go down to the potter's house. And he says, and there I'm going to cause you to see a work. You know what I mean? And there you're going to catch it. There you're going to get a revelation of truly who I am, what I'm able to do, and how I'm able to do it. So when Jeremiah goes down there, immediately he sees a potter working on some clay. And when he sees the potter, with the clay in his hand, the first thing he knows, he says that the clay was marred.
Yeah.
He said the clay was messed up. The clay had some lumps in it. The clay had some cracks in it. The clay needed to be made over. And he says that the thing about it, he says that it seemed when he saw that it was marred, when he saw that it was messed up, when he saw the imperfections, when he saw the nasty attitude, when he saw the tendency to go off and click, when he saw the anger, when he saw the way certain people choose to deal with stress, when he saw everything that sometimes may not be right in our eyes, when he saw that, he says that it seemed good for him to make it again. In other words, he says that there's some things that are there. He says, but I'm not going to throw it away.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is a workable solution. And that's what you need to be able to say. Certain things in our life that we think are just so I'm not minimizing them, but sometimes we magnify things instead of magnifying the Lord. You know what I mean? We magnify situations
so big.
Yeah, we just that river that we seem to can't cross, it's a small thing. It's a small thing to God, and even certain things as a child I looked at that was just, oh wow, there's no way I could or would. In time when I became older, that became nothing. You know what I mean? It's like when you're a child, you're afraid to jump off the second step off the front porch. You know what I'm saying? But when you grow up, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You'll get a running start and jump. You know what I'm saying? And so
because you understand that you understand your strength.
I understand what I'm able to do now. I know who I am. You know what I mean? I understand what he's put on the inside of me. So we have to come to that epiphany that regardless of who's with us, regardless of who's for us, regardless of who's against us, it does not matter. That the plan, and that's what he says. He says the plan. I know the plans. The plans that God has for us individually and collectively. God has orchestrated that. And God has detailed it.
And it's steps. Like you say, you talk about the plan. Is sometimes I'm.
You're a step person.
I am. Oh, I like order. I like to.
You're the step person.
I like to plan, and I like to know. But I don't like to plan just to plan. I like to plan with purpose, and that's what God is saying. Like He plans with purpose. Like you don't understand.
He plans knowing the purpose.
Yeah. He. You may not understand while you're enduring this, or why you're going through this, or why this isn't happening, or why is it happening this way,
or why is it happening now?
And God is saying there's a perfect end that you got to get to. So we're just telling you tonight that in every valley you can still feel the sun.
That's good. I remember back in the day, like in school, like certain times teachers used to have a break or a period, and that period was called their planning period. I don't know if they still have that now.
I don't know.
And the planning period was basically when the teacher had some time to themselves,
right,
to set aside to plan the future lessons that they're going to give to the students. They used to have to plan that. And I think for us, what we have to be recognized is that God has already, made out the lesson plans, and there's nothing we can do to alter those lesson plans. He knows what He needs to teach us, when He needs to teach us, how He needs to teach us. He knows the things that He's going to use. Come here, Paul. Least I be exalted above measure. There was given to me a messenger of Satan, a thorn in my side to buffet me. He said, why was it given? It's not a brainstorm, scholars debate, seminary debate. It's right there in the text. He says, least I be exalted above measure. He says, so I won't get, we don't know what it was, but we know why it was.
Right.
He says, I gave that to him because I got to keep him humble, because I'm doing such a work in his life, because everything that he touched is going to blow up. Everything he has to, he writes over a third of the New Testament is attributed to his penning. He says, I knew a man once, whether in the body or out the body, I cannot tell. Caught up to the third heaven, saw things. He says, I can't even repeat. I can't even tell you what I saw. So God gave him so much and was doing so much in his life. He says, I got to allow something to come to keep him crying out to me. I got to allow something to come. I got to use what the enemy, what you meant for evil, I heard it. He meant for good. I got to use something to keep him so he won't get prideful. Because the Bible says pride goes before the fall. He says in a haughty spirit. He says, so I have to allow these things to come so he'll know he's human. His anointed self. You know what I'm saying? I need to allow, and that's what God does for us. He allows things because He gives grace to the humble, but He says He resists the proud. So He has to allow, I believe, certain things to come into our life to let us know that we can't look down. I know we got to get rid of that judgment, self-righteous spirit. That's why half people don't come to church now, because people in the church judge them for where they are. But now understanding that some of us, we still there where they at. You know what I mean? And some of us that are not, if it not for the grace of God, we still would be.
We just look cleaner.
Yeah. We act cleaner. When He don't look it, we act it, So I think for us in this season, that there has to be, as we come down to this last month of the year, 11 months have gone.
11.
A lot has happened, a lot. And a lot of it, looking back from January now, we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't see some things. We didn't see some of the things taking place in our life individually and collectively, and relationships and jobs and careers and marriages and children. Like they say, they get out your house, but they get on your heart more. The decisions that they may make or may not make you. The empty nesters now, kids graduated first year of school. Now it's just y'all two looking crazy at each other. Curves. We didn't know how it was going to unfold, and we didn't know how to approach it. But we were worried about something we inevitably could not control and cannot control. Yeah, so we have to, trust the process to understand that the process is a part of the plan. Yeah, that's the third point. The process is a part of the plan.
Yeah, we've come through January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and now we're here in December. And I'm gonna give y'all the reference right here. But anybody, and I'm quite sure y'all heard so many sermons about that game on Saturday. But
it preached across the nation.
It did preach, but anybody who feel like the time is almost running out for them to accomplish and achieve, even in this December, that God can do it immediately. And it's constantly said throughout the Bible, things immediately, things switched and changed. Just like, this past week, immediately things changed. 1 minute they were losing. Next minute they came back, tied up a game and gave them another breath, another win. Like some of us just need to take a deep breath and get our second win. because God is saying, okay, now it's the time for you to push through. Now it's the time to get to the next level. So I can't believe we made it to December. I can't believe that we've experienced the things that we've experienced. I can't believe that God has done some things in my life. I can't believe that
He's been amazing.
I can't believe I've been challenged. Come on, y'all. Be honest. I can't believe. Just raise your hand. I can't believe that I've been challenged in some places that I never thought I'd be challenged in. I can't believe that I've seen darkness when I was looking only for light. I can't believe that I've been hurt this year. I've been broken this year. I've been cursed this year. I've been frustrated this year. I've been angry. I've been all these things. I've experienced some joy. I have experienced some peace. I have experienced some love. I've experienced some happiness. But all of it has come wrapped up to this very moment where I have to make a decision if I'm going to continue to live in purpose that God has ordained for me, or if I'm going to accept what the enemy has said about me. And today we're just encouraging you to accept what God has said. Now we're getting ready to close out this show. It's been so much fun hanging out with you guys. And we have a special guest in that studio, so next week. So make sure that you tune in. We thank God for our special guest on tonight that's been sharing the word. As we get ready to close out, why don't you share just some encouraging words for the people, just to give them a little bit of strength and give them their win back, give them their race back, remind them of their weapons, remind them of their place in God so they can get to the next level.
I just want to tell you, you're not going to be late. I just want to help release many of us from that anxiety and that pressure of feeling like we're late, of feeling like we're behind. You're not. You are you are in the right place and space for God to do what He wants to do. And because God, who is eternal and understands time, and old people say He took time and wrapped it up in His hand and stepped out of time back into time. God understands the chronos. He understands the seasons of our life. And I just want you to know that it's not over. You know what I mean? That you got, God has you in His hand. The Bible says His times are in our hand. Yes. Our times are in His hand. So understanding that should help relieve you. Not that you don't be diligent, not that you don't work while it's day, but understand that you're going to arrive at the ETA. You're going to arrive at the estimated time of arrival. God has said so. And not the devil in hell, things principalities, things past, no present. Nothing shall be able to separate you from that time and place and space that God is going to put you in to bring you to an expected end. To your family blessed, your children blessed. Like I said, not just having peace, but living in peace. Not just having joy, but living in joy. But understanding that yes, challenges may come. Life happens to us all. None of us are exempt from it. But understand that God is yet still doing what He does. He does what He does the best to ever do it. You're not going to be late. You're going to get that.
You're not going to be late. Thank you for tuning in to Hearts and Hills. You've been hanging out with us tonight. This is Rod and Shay. You've been hanging out with us all night tonight. Remember, whatever you do, do it with all your heart. And if you can't put your heart in it, put your heels on it and stomp on the enemy's head and walk out the door. Shake the dust off your feet. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. You've been listening to Hearts and Hills.
Peace.
Bye, guys.